Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast. Super excited for today's interview. We have the founder of Fempire Media, and she helps coaches and online service providers scale their business with profitable Facebook and Instagram ads. So excited to be rocking out today with Shelby Fowler. Hey, Shelby, you ready to rock?
I am ready to rock. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. So the first question I have, it's always starting off on a good note. So tell me a story of success in your business or your life that we can be inspired by.
Yeah. So when I kind of went from freelancer to deciding I was going to make my business like a real life business, within a year, I hit my first six figures completely working from home. So yeah, that's kind of like my good note here.
That
If
is
I can do it,
amazing.
anybody can do it.
Well, did you really work hard enough though? I think you did.
Yeah, but I also had, I had two toddlers at home. So, I really started my business like between nap times and when they were asleep. So I feel like it was crazy. It was a crazy year. However, I mean, if I can do it, I really feel like anybody could do it.
Yeah, if you make the right sacrifices, right? And
Yeah.
you work hard enough. Because, having two kids at home, I'm sure that you didn't get much sleep, I don't think, right?
Right. I didn't. You're right about that. Like I definitely went to bed late and I woke up early. And yeah, that is very true.
Yeah. But I love that story because, really, it just goes to show that, I think a lot of people nowadays, I think it's very, very different because, especially with what's going on now, I think
Mm,
people sort of see that you can actually reach some pretty hefty goals from home.
yeah.
However, in the past, I know that, oh, you need to go get a university degree and you need to go and become a doctor in order to make a six-figure income, or you need to be a really, really sleazy, rich person.
Yeah.
But you could be a normal person right now working hard from home and you can still hit these big goals, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now
100%.
so now on that path though, every once in a while we hit a bad note too. So there are things that don't necessarily go as planned, and we all do. And so I'm wondering, can you share, a bad note, a story of some failure, a mistake that you made, and something that you learned from, and maybe we can either avoid it or maybe we can recover from it if it happens to us.
Yeah. So I will say that I have bad notes like every other day. I think that the more success you find and the more you work for, like you're going to fail the most. One piece of advice I was given once by like a really high level coach was like the difference between you and somebody who's extremely successful is like they've failed a lot more times. And that really normalized failure for me. So I was like, okay, let's not avoid it and let's just learn from these experiences. So I'll give you an example of something we could probably most of us can relate to, which is like COVID hit. And for me, that actually, I was working at that time with a lot of brick and mortar businesses. And we all know what happened there, right? They closed doors. And so I lost almost all of my client base within, a couple of weeks. And of course, I freaked out, right? As any normal person would do. But I have found that my greatest setbacks have actually been like setups for the next level. So, what I took from that was like, oh crap, I have not diversified myself well in this area. And so I lost a lot of my income. But then also, I was like, okay, I can't sit here and cry about it for more than like 30 seconds. And then I have to go get to work because I've got bills that need to be paid. I have teams that have to be paid. I have to get to work. So, even when like the unsure happens, when you're not really sure what's going to happen, you have to believe in yourself and know that you, at the end of the day, when you jump off the cliff, you don't know what's going to be if you're going to fall, but you know that you believe in yourself enough to make it work, whatever happens.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And then the next month I had like my biggest month in business. So you just got to trust yourself and get to work.
Wow, that's right. And you know what? I know that I know that a lot of people talk about, maybe something might happen and they've got an excuse for this not working out the way that they want it to. And, it's that person's fault or this person's fault. And oftentimes it's actually our own fault and we're just passing off the blame. But with something like COVID, that actually wasn't our fault. Right?
Yeah,
So,
we were all blindsided.
yeah. So it really literally just, it was not expected by anybody. I don't think anybody a year before COVID would have seen themselves in these positions now. So
Right.
So how can you prepare for it? But I think that's the point of what you just said here, is that you fail often. You keep making mistakes and you're okay with that. And I think that's the thing, is that you just start to gain this confidence of whatever happens, I know something's going to happen today. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then when something like this happens that is totally unexpected and out of the blue, you still are kind of going, oh, well, here's something else. Let's figure it out. Right?
Absolutely. I think you normalize it for yourself. So you don't it doesn't shock you so much when something happens and you're just like, of course something happened. Obviously COVID was a shock to everybody. And something that always annoyed me during that time is people would be like, pivot. Like the word pivot was being so used in business, because it was overused in business, because everybody was having to kind of shift their energies and their target audiences and a lot of businesses had to shift online, right?
Yep.
So, and people had to now work from home, right? So all of these things and that word pivot, but that's truly really what I did, is I had to pivot my own business, and you kind of have to be flexible. So if you're so focused and I found the businesses that were just stubborn and headstrong and I'm not changing, they didn't survive. You have to be a little flexible and know when it's time to adapt.
Yeah. The ones that sort of thought, oh, well, this will just be short term. I'm just going to hang on there and then it'll change. And but then there was a lot of businesses just said, you know what, changing right now.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. No, I totally hear you. And I mean, myself too. I mean, I was making a living partly on music too. And I had to completely change, things. So, but I think that's the thing, is that once you get used to failing often, then you're just like, all right, here we go. We're going in this direction now.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. That's right on. So now the next thing I want to talk about is, when we are, getting started in our business, sometimes we might not know exactly what to do or where to go. And so we need to find some help out there somewhere. And I'm wondering, do you have any type of mentors or anything like that in your business, or you just kind of figure it all out on your own?
Oh no. I learned quickly on that I needed to find the people who were where I wanted to be and pay the money to sit at their feet and learn from them, because I didn't want to spend years and drag the process on. I find if you're not willing to invest in your business or in gaining more knowledge, increasing your skill set, then what happens is you drag on the process. You might get to the end, right? You might get to the finishing line of where you want to be, but it's slow. It's a slower process. I would rather learn what not to do from people who have been there, done that. And I want to learn how to get there the quickest way possible, the most efficient way possible, and avoid as much hardship as possible from those who have kind of walked that path before. So I definitely have invested heavily in myself in multiple areas too. So I think in different seasons of business, I've found myself being like, wow, I really see a gap in my ability to do sales. Okay. That was one of the first coaches that I hired, was a sales coach. Cause I was like, I'm so good at what I do, but I don't want to be the best kept secret anymore. And I'm getting on calls and just bombing them. It's not about, for me, it was never about getting leads into my business, but it was I couldn't sell. So I had to hire a sales coach to teach me how to do that in not a sleazy way, because it felt icky to me. And my mindset around sales was oh, that's icky. That's yucky. People don't want that. And so I felt like guilty almost, right? And again, like as I built a team, then it's like now I need to invest in leadership and management skills because I don't necessarily have that perfected, right? Um, and in whatever it is that you do, you're going to constantly have to learn, and especially in my industry, in advertising, right, it's like constantly changing. So I love part of that because I'm a lifelong learner, but I do myself and my team, we have to invest heavily in new training constantly so that we're up to date on what's going on. Otherwise, our clients will suffer and the business will suffer. So I think it's really important to be aware of what areas you need the most help in and then go find a specialist in that area. I'm a big fan of hiring specialists and not necessarily generalists for things. I think that if you can find somebody, an expert in whatever it is that you're lacking, if you're self aware enough to know what that is, then you can crush through that obstacle really quickly.
Yeah. Wow. You mentioned a few things there. I think that what someone else in one of my episodes had mentioned is they said it compresses time. And I
Ooh,
like that.
yeah.
I like the way that they said that. It's because it's true. I mean, you're taking something that could have taken this long and you're compressing it because you're using the expertise of somebody else to get you there. Right.
Yeah. That's
And
a really great way to put it.
you mentioned about sales, and I want to talk about that real quick because I see that quite often online as people feeling weird about sales, and of course, if you feel weird about sales, then you're probably going to be coming across like that to your client, your potential client,
Mhm.
which is exactly what you don't want to do. But I think that we all sort of have these experiences, these negative experiences with salespeople that you walk away from it and you're just like, what did I just buy? Like that person just totally got and I think it's because we have those bad experiences and then that's what we focus on. But we
Yeah.
also have great experiences where you walk away with something and you're like, look at the deal I just got on this. And you don't think about it the same way. You don't even think about the salesperson anymore. Like it's rare that you would actually walk home and with an exciting new product and think about the salesperson and tell your friends about the salesperson that sold it to you. You're just like, I got this
Yeah.
product. But that's because that salesperson did a great job at helping you see how that product was going to help your life. And that's what
Yeah.
you're excited about, right?
Absolutely. It's selling is serving. So if you solve a problem, which we all do, and
Mhm.
you understand that there are people out there that so desperately need what you have to offer, and you can really tap into that, like that pain that they're experiencing and the frustration, right? That they're experiencing because they're not able to hit their goals without your service or your product. If you truly know that and have the confidence in your stuff is the bomb.com,
Mhm.
then show up and know that like I can help you. Like this isn't about, it's not an exchange, it's not me taking from you. I'm about to give you something that is priceless.
Yeah.
Like what I'm about to give somebody is going to change the trajectory of their life or business. And having that confidence that like what you do is so important. Now, all you are doing on a sales conversation is holding space for them to make an empowered decision. Because at the end of the day, you know, typically people hop on calls and they already know if they want to hire you or not, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's about like meeting their objections, but also understanding that like your job is to just you're not you're not selling them something that is icky. So don't come into that energy. You're just selling them the confidence that you can help them
Yeah.
because you know you can.
Yeah, and I mean, oftentimes, sometimes if you come into the conversation, also looking for how it won't help them or whether it's not for them, that might actually help you out too, because you might have a bomb product, you're right, but it's not for everybody. Not
Oh yeah.
everybody is going to want your product. Maybe they've already got, they might already have something. There's lots of reasons why they might not be aligned with you, and that's okay. You can explore that. And that I found helps me a lot dealing with that icky
Mhm.
feeling because I'm like, you know what? I'm looking for a reason why you don't want me right now.
It's
Because if
for
I can find
both
that,
you and them,
yeah,
right? It's for you to figure out if you want to work for that work with them and for them to figure out if they want to work with you. Like it's mutual. Um Yeah, and like I'm with you on that, because I turn away most of the people that book calls with me, and it's not because, not in a bad way. It's just like ethically, I don't take on clients that I know I cannot get a return for.
Yeah.
So it's important for me to not take on clients that I know are not, they're not going to make their money back,
Yeah.
right? They're not. It's not going to be a good exchange, and so I'm very honest about that. And there there are people, right? We all know some
Yeah.
that are not ethical. However, you get to choose if you are like to be ethical and let people know like, hey, this isn't a good fit, but maybe you know somebody that's a good fit for them, or you can wish them luck.
Yep, exactly. So now you built your whole business from home. I want to know about your jam room. So tell me about it.
Yeah, yeah. So it has evolved over the years, right? So when I first started, I had like a desk in a corner in my kitchen. Like that's what happened. But now I think it's so important the more time you spend in your office. And for me, it's like 8 hours a day. So I need my space to be like pretty and lovely. And I want to just enjoy being in it. So for me, it's like, I love being facing the window so that sunlight is hitting my like face, and like the room has natural light. That's important to me. I love plants because it's like life, and like purifies the air. Obviously, if you if you saw my office and what I look like, right? It's not a surprise that like everything's pink. That is my brand for sure. And like my background is fun. I think it's important to think about what lights you up. I also, here's like a quick little secret. I'm obsessed with post-it notes. And so I write myself like encouraging things, or I write my goals down on post-it notes, and I put them in places where I often look, so that subconsciously I'm looking at them and I'm like, ooh, yep, that's my goal, or something that I want to focus on, like maybe an encouraging thought that I want to like, keep saying to myself throughout the day. That's something, so I can constantly keep that like top of mind. So those are those are kind of what lights me up and what I like to keep in my space. And just really thinking about like what, yeah, having a space that really makes you happy.
Right on. Yeah. That the post-it idea is a great idea. I know when I was first starting my business and I was trying to shift my mindset into it, into that, I used to write on the mirror in the bathroom, like with a white mark. It was great. I mean, you look at yourself and you can see all these things. Oh, I thought it worked for me anyway.
Yeah, I think it definitely works. I think you're like constantly programming your mind even when you don't think you are. So even like numbers, like think about like if you want to hit $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month or more, whatever. Putting that on a post-it note so you're seeing it, because it normalizes it for you. The more you see it, the more it like is like, oh yeah, that's possible. It's normalizing it. Now, if you don't see that all the time, and I think a lot of people with monetary or like revenue goals in business, you might make a huge revenue goal for yourself, but your mind isn't there yet. Like you still, part of you thinks it's not possible. So you have to be really intentional about normalizing that number for yourself so that you can really start believing that it's possible, and you'll start to step into that.
Yeah. 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 And I know people probably think it's crazy, but it really is real that we've all got this like thermostat of what we expect. And that's what happens. So as soon as we kind of drop below that,
Mhm.
something happens in us and we go, oh, I'm coming back up to it. So if
Yeah.
it gets too high, though, the same thing happens. We start to sabotage and it comes back down again. So yeah, you're right. I mean, you really need to start programming yourself into believing that these things are possible. And that's a great way to do it with post-it notes everywhere, because you just see it and then it ends up being something that's not on purpose. It's just it's in your peripheral, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I have these everywhere. Like I go into like, even if you are like health goals, right? Like put post-it notes in your kitchen and your fridge that are like, okay, like if you have a goal of losing weight or getting in shape or whatever, or drinking more water, and you put like water is life or something, and you just post that everywhere, then you're like, yes, it is. And you'll start to drink more water. So it's the
Yeah.
same thing with money or business. Like you are going to, like, I love the thermostat example. You have energetic minimums and maximums in all the areas of your life, but especially with your like revenue, when you think about revenue and business, you do, like, you're never going to fall, think about it, you never fall beneath a certain revenue level, but then you seem to never get past this once. You kind of have, you yo-yo back and forth somewhere between these two numbers, like, right? And the point is you want those to move up, like those brackets to move
Mhm.
up. So now it's like, okay, never make less than $50,000 a month, but but now my maximum is 80,000. So then you just keep raising that higher and higher until you get to where you want to go.
Yep, I agree. And I think that's why a lot of people move gradually through these numbers, because once they hit a certain level, then all of a sudden the next level looks possible, right?
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily see that 5 levels above you is possible at the moment. You're like, okay, well, I can see this is possible, but this isn't. So I'm not going to
Mhm.
go there. However, you do see some people that they just jump levels. And when you talk to them, you find out that their mindset is that they did see that 5 levels ahead was possible, and so they just
Yeah.
jumped there, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of those things where we have to figure out a way to convince our brains that
Yeah.
it's possible. And
And we all are different and have different paces. So don't compare yourself to others, because we all have money stories in our lives with like how we grew up.
yep,
And some of us, like, I am not somebody who grew up with like, I didn't grow up as like an heiress or anything like that. So, there, a lot of us didn't grow up super, super, super wealthy, or growing up with like an abundance of money and just like, a fat bank account, right? A
yep,
lot of us are self made.
yep,
And so, because of that, you have to rewire your brain, because you don't understand that there's so many like limiting beliefs and things that you've heard growing up, and this will keep you from your next, oh, we talked about before, like we're gonna end up talking about mindset, but it's not about
yep,
mindset, but this
yeah,
is what it is, right? Like there's so many limiting beliefs that we have, and I think is in business, as you start to scale your business, you realize all of those limiting beliefs. I don't think that there's anything on the planet that is gonna push you personally more than being a business owner is.
mhm,
Like you are gonna be pushed and get so uncomfortable and grow so much and become such a better person if you commit to the process and know that it is very normal to feel like you are out of your league, to feel very uncomfortable all the time, and and then you start to have an awareness of like all the crap that you didn't realize that you have believed your whole life.
wow. Shelby, you're making these segues very, very easy, because the next thing I want to talk about is practice makes progress.
Yeah.
So how do you get good at what it is that you do?
Yeah. So we've started implementing something in our team. So I have a small team, but we started implementing skill development time every day. So everybody, whatever they're working on, whatever they're trying to get better at, like for one of my team members, it might be ads, right? Like so she's learning how to get better at ads. So she's going through some training that we've created for her. And so she spends like an hour a day. This is just tactical advice here, but like give yourself a time frame so that maybe, and when you're just starting out, like I would say before you hit when you're at $10,000 a month or less, like you need to spend a little bit more time in skill development. And when you're above that, it's going to be skill development. You might spend a little less time in skill development, but it's going to be on different things, right? So before you hit six figures in business, you have to get good at what you do so that you can be one of the best. So, set time aside, like schedule it. And don't forget to do your other tasks though, because I know a lot of people that
Yeah.
learn, and then they never sell, they never market, they just are, oh, I'm really good at this, but no one knows about it. You don't want to be that. So
Mhm.
set a time for yourself. And then I would say, um, know and being conscious of what it is that you need to learn more about. So whether that be sales, whether that be marketing, whether that be your actual what you do, whatever it is that you do. Maybe you need to develop that skill. Maybe it's leadership or managing people or operations. Some of us, I'm one of those people, I'm not the best at like systems and stuff. I don't care about that. So I have to learn how to do it and then hire people to help me because I just don't, that's not in my wheelhouse. So yeah, I think being aware of what areas you need to grow in and then make sure you set time aside every day to work on that.
Right. And, kind of coming full circle to the learning from the best, sometimes you can't really see what it is that you're not good at. So it is useful to have somebody outside of your business to kind of, and it could even be a friend, to kind of go, hey, this is your weak spot, and be okay with that, because you're going to naturally probably have a resistance to hearing that and go,
Yeah.
I'm great at that. But if you take a step back, if somebody else is mentioning it to you, there's a good chance that there's something there, right?
Yeah, and hopefully if it is a coach, like you've hired them for that honesty. Like just know that when you hire a coach, they're going to be brutal with you, but sometimes like you need someone to beat you up a little bit so that you can get stronger.
Yeah.
Like you need somebody to like really give it to you. I think a lot of us surround ourselves with yes people a lot, like people that are just constantly telling us you're great, you're good at what you do. And as you start to develop a business and you get good at it, people will start to be like, wow, like they're going to give you a lot of compliments, or they're going to say like, you're inspiring. I can't believe you built this. This is amazing. You need somebody to be like, yeah, but you're really bad at this.
Yeah.
You need someone to tell you the truth, because without that accountability and without that truth, you're never going to grow. You're never going to grow. You have to have that accountability, and you have to have that truth to kind of really decipher like what it is that you need help in.
Awesome. Okay, it's time for your solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business right now.
Yeah, so we have a 12-month coaching program where we teach Facebook ads to people who want to either learn it to provide it as a service, or if you are a business owner and you are wanting to learn it to grow your own business. We have a coaching program now for that instead of just done for you services. A lot of people are asking me personally, like, hey, how did you learn ads? How do I learn ads? And I have invested really heavily in other agencies, like being able to pay them to like watch what they do and ask them questions and get their knowledge. And so I really wanted to have like more of an accessible program for people that they can learn how to do it profitably. So I have that, and yeah, I'm excited about that. I think that we have about 40 people in it, so that's exciting. And yeah.
So do people talk to each other as well? Is it like a group thing, or?
Yep. So it's a group program. It's 12 months. You have an ads coach inside that will check in with you weekly. You have a one-on-one with them. There is all the training on ads you can think of in the module. And then we have 3 live calls every week that you can hop on. So when you need help, because it's not if, it's when you need like a human, an expert, an agency to really help you walk you through something, you have access to one. So it's like an agency in your back pocket.
Nice. And that's good for any business, really? Or is there specific businesses that you're looking to help?
Mostly coaches and online service providers.
Okay.
However, we do have some e-commerce businesses in there, and some like brick and mortar businesses. So we definitely have diversity in there, but I would say the people that benefit the most are those that have online businesses.
Awesome. Okay. So if we want to know more about this, how do we find out more about it?
Yeah, you can go to fempiremedia.com, and there is a tab that says Fempire Ads Academy, and you can click on that and learn all the things that you need to know.
Awesome. So definitely check that out. And thank you so much for rocking out with me today. This has been a lot of fun, Shelby.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment. We'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.